One take, one take, one take, one take, Tuesday. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another One Take Tuesday. My name is MBZ, and I have eaten so much fucking fish. I've eaten enough teppanyaki to fill a giant whale, and that's not even an understatement. That's just realism. That's just life, right? This is my current situation right now. I'm so full. But we have One Take Tuesday. This is a UU battle against a guy who brought a mono flying team because I guess he wanted to roll with that, and I had some interesting things that I wanted to use, so I used them, and that's what we have. So to lead off with Narrated, I was under the thought process that he was going to be a taunting variant, so he would stop me using Stealth Rock, therefore. Instead of doing that, I tried to go for a Zen Headbutt to potentially rake a Sash, but instead he decides to switch out into an Altaria, which I do a surprising amount to with the Zen Headbutt, and seeing that, I'm thinking, okay, he's probably not very defensive, more of an offensive one, and he kind of confirms that by the fact that he has Cotton Guard to buff his defenses instead of relying on any kind of EV investment or that kind of thing. I get up Stealth Rocks, though, in the process, which is nice, but I certainly cannot let this stupid, puffy, clouded thing that rides on my head all day take me down with all his defenses, because I can't get through them, so I'm going to have to just phase him out. And I do have the perfect Pokemon for that, which is Dwight Slowking. He does a good job from time to time. He has eyes in the back of his head, ladies and gentlemen. He sees all. He's like fucking Sauron. That is an analogous character for Dwight, and he has Dragon Tail, which is fantastic, and you might think that does a lot of damage because it's a critical hit. He did have +3 defense there from one Cotton Guard, so huge amount of damage, and I'm pleased with that. But obviously I'm not going to stay in against a Scyther because there's the bug weakness and all that kind of nonsense, so I'm going to get rid of my Slowking, go into Sleeping Beauty, the most gorgeous, incredible, delightful young lady you shall ever lay eyes upon, of course. And she's going to do some good work here, I feel. Mainly Scyther's not going to be staying in because it thinks I'm defensive, whereas I'm actually Nasty Plot Trick Room, I believe, which could be potentially fantastic, dependent on what his switching is. Unfortunately, it turns out to be a fucking Murkrow. You know, back in the day, Eric used to run a Murkrow. Murkrow is really, really annoying because it did that stupid series of events where it would just like trap you and then perish and you couldn't do anything. It was horrible. But he apparently isn't using that set. He's using the Swagger set. Hits me twice with it, and I get a Nasty Plot off on the first. Second one, I'm not so fortunate. I don't actually get to do anything. I hit myself with my Confusion, and I'm trying, hopefully, maybe, to break out of this horrible situation. However, he's going to be one of those people who just sits there and subs up and waits for Confusion. And waits for Power Hacks, because he actually has Thunder Wave as well. Can you believe it? Can you believe that he was running such a, unfrustrating, legitimate, just really skillful set? I mean, only the skilledest of players use such sets like this. If you can't tell, I don't like facing down things like this. I do it myself, but I don't really use these kind of sets, so I feel like my criticism is legitimate. Thankfully, though, Sleeping Beauty, she is not missing a wink here, ironically, and is able to hidden power all the way through all those substitutes, and then gets hit by paralysis, and is still confused. This is Power Fusion at its finest, but not sleeping on the fucking job, goes for hidden power again, and is in fact, because of the +2 and the fact that it's neutral and Murkrow doesn't have, well, it's got good defense with the Violite, but it was low enough to where it would die, and it did, so I'm pleased with that scenario, and the situation worked itself out. Now we're into the fucking Para Flinch Fusion, which just takes it to another freaking level, and somehow I managed to snap out of my Confusion, don't get paralyzed, don't get flinched, and get Trigger Room set up again. Jesus Christ, Sleeping Beauty, you are the belle of the ball right here. I know you're not awake to see any of it, but you're doing pretty good. Continues to go for Rock Slide, which is somewhat unfortunate. Did I get paralyzed there? I wasn't paying attention, honestly. I probably did. I go for a Shadow Ball, which is at +2, and I think that should be able to take Aerodactyl out, especially after Stealth Rock. He doesn't have very good defenses. There's no Sandstorm buff in his Spec D, so he ain't in the best of situations, ladies and gentlemen. Goes into a Tropius. I haven't seen one of these online. It gets 402 HP? Really? Wow, I'm really shocked, honestly. I'm pretty stunned that its HP is actually that high a base. That's stunning. Unfortunately, the rest of its stats are pretty shit, so it doesn't really get to do much. But wow, that kind of has thrown me off guard. I'm doing really well here because clearly he doesn't have anything that's slower than a paralyzed Cofagrigus. Because who really carries something that would be slower than a paralyzed Cofagrigus? And I'm able to knock him out in 2 Shadow Balls. Leaf Blade doesn't really do that much. I'm not really defensively invested, but again, owing to the fact that Tropius is pretty shit and I have Natural Bulk, I take it well. I take it as well as a Sleeping Beauty damn well can. In comes Altaria again, which I'm going to stay in against, and I want to get Trick Room up once more. And the reason for that is that I have Clamperl. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Clamperl is a beast among men and can generally do fantastic work. However, if you noticed on that turn, I got paralyzed. Now, the problem is that while I was streaming this game, I didn't realize I had gotten paralyzed. So I was running under the assumption that I'd got Trick Room up, meaning that I could just sacrifice my Flygon to get a free switch into my Clamperl and then continue to wreck face, which was, I thought it was clear. I thought the light was at the end of the tunnel. I was running. I had fucking rocket boots on my feet. I was ready to go, but apparently that wasn't the case, and I wasn't looking at the stream chat either, which meant that I was very, very disappointed seeing that Altaria was in fact faster than me because I believed that Trick Room was around when it wasn't. You know, I'm taking the hit. I managed to live a Dragon Pulse, thank God, because Clamperl does have some decent defense. Not really, it has shit defense, but whatever. And unfortunately, I'm going to be able to be killed by this Scyther. He actually ends up roosting, brings him back up to full, which is a smart play because he knows I have Ice Beam, and Ice Beam is not going to be able to take him down below half after this hit. And he's going to be at a better amount of health because Stealth Rock took him down to half, and he's a little bit higher. So he goes for Brick Break, and it's pretty much the end for Clamperl. So unfortunately, it doesn't die! Ladies and gentlemen, Clamperl! Can you fucking believe it? I could! And you know why? Because I know how good this little critter is, how fantastic it is able to deal with situations, even when Trick Room isn't even up! It lives Brick Break! What is it with me and Brick Break? Why is it that we have such a tumultuous affair with each other? Brick Break and I. First the Garchomp, then Clamperl. Oh, it's too much. It's too much for me. But some things have to come to an end. Unfortunately, Dodrio kills me. But D-Dog, D-Day, D-Dom, Diddy-Doo. I have Sucker Punch with Dark Gem. And I get a crit. That's 2 crits back to back to finish the game off. Surfing the Scyther. And critting the Dodrio with the Sucker Punch, ladies and gentlemen. That has been a One Take Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly enjoyed playing the battle when I did. It was a fun time, and yeah, it was some good Clamperl action, despite not really going to plan as I wanted it to. So that's going to be that. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, leave a like. That would be much appreciated. Also, I would like to let you know that the very final episode of NBZ's Pokemon Adventure, created by Sanjit the Idiot, the YouTube account Sanjit the Idiot, who is a very funny guy. He's fantastic. He does excellent stuff, and he has been doing a series called NBZ's Pokemon Adventure, and it's all done in MS Paint. It has a bunch of references that are so obscure that, like, some of them are only gotten by a very small amount of people, but it's funny, it's hilarious. The very final episode went up a few days ago, and I actually did some voice acting in it for him. He asked me to do that, so I did agree to it. And I would recommend, if you haven't seen any of it, go back and watch the first one. It's on his channel. You can find it pretty easily. But I'm going to link you to the final episode if you would like to take a look at that. I would. It would be great. It'd mean a lot to me, mean a lot to him, and that's going to be that. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video, whenever that so happens to be. Goodbye.